INFJs move through the world with eyes that do more than see. They perceive, absorb, and interpret layers of reality that most people never notice. Their vision is not limited to the surface of things. It dives beneath the polite smiles, the casual conversations, and the distractions of daily life, reaching into the unspoken truths that float like whispers beneath the noise. They walk into a room and can immediately feel if tension is present, even if everyone is laughing. They sense the subtle flicker of pain in someone's eyes, the slight hesitation in their voice, the shift in their energy that gives away a story no one else realizes is being told. This intuitive seeing is their gift, but is also the source of a quiet exhaustion that never fully leaves them. If you're an INFJ who needs clarity, alignment, and a deeper connection with your true self, ensure to check out my INFJ ebook. The link is in the description of this video. To see what others cannot see is to constantly carry truths that no one else is holding. An INFJ will notice when someone is pretending to be okay, when a friend is hurting but hiding it behind humor, or when a coworker's frustration is more about fear than anger. They can sense when a relationship is breaking before either person admits it, and they can feel the weight of unspoken words in the silence between people. These realizations are rarely welcome in casual life, because most people prefer the comfort of the surface, but for an INFJ, the surface has never been enough. Their intuition compels them to read between every line, and once they see something, they cannot unsee it. This constant awareness becomes emotionally draining because it means they are always processing more than what is said. Conversations are never just conversations. They are currents of energy, layers of emotion, and fragmented truths that the INFJ absorbs without trying. Even a simple gathering can feel like a flood of impressions. Who is lonely? Who is anxious? Who is angry beneath their charm? By the end of the day, their mind and heart are heavy, not from what they have done, but from everything they have felt. This is why INFJs so often retreat into solitude, not because they dislike people, but because they need to set down the invisible weights they carry from seeing and feeling so much. What makes this gift exhausting is that it is mostly one-sided. While INFJs see others with piercing clarity, they are rarely seen in return. People might sense their wisdom or their kindness, but seldom understand the inner labor it takes to constantly hold space for everyone's hidden emotions. It can feel like standing in a room full of mirrors, where they can see the reflections of every soul, but their own goes unnoticed. This imbalance leaves them feeling both deeply connected to humanity and profoundly isolated from it. Seeing the truth also comes with an ache, because they can anticipate outcomes long before others do. They often know when a relationship will fail, when someone they care about will be hurt, or when a decision will have unseen consequences. Carrying this foresight, while knowing most people are not ready to hear it, creates a quiet helplessness. They want to protect, to guide, to warn, but they also understand that growth often comes through lessons people must learn on their own. And so they keep their insights close to their chest, offering gentle support instead of full disclosure, all while feeling the emotional weight of knowing more than they can safely share. For an INFJ, the world is never quiet, even when there is no sound. Every glance, every sigh, every subtle shift in the air carries meaning that others miss. They can feel the tension in a room like a pulse, notice the weariness in someone's posture, and sense the invisible storms people try to hide. Life for them is a constant undercurrent of observation and emotional resonance, and this depth of perception is both a blessing and a burden. When they walk through life seeing these hidden layers, it feels like carrying a lantern in a world where most prefer to keep the lights dim. Others move through their days with the comfort of oblivion, unaware of the quiet pain or suppressed emotions lingering in the hearts around them. But INFJs cannot turn this awareness off. Their intuition and empathy work together like twin currents, pulling them beneath the surface into a world of silent truths. They can't simply enjoy a conversation without noticing the flicker of hurt when someone changes the topic, or the way a voice falters when certain names are mentioned. This depth of seeing makes them incredible confidants and compassionate friends, but also drains them in ways that are hard to explain. While most people process only the visible, INFJs absorb what is unspoken. They take in other people's fears, frustrations, and hidden griefs as if they were their own. Over time, this unfiltered empathy can leave them feeling heavy and tired, even if the day seemed uneventful to everyone else. It is not the actions that exhaust them, but the invisible emotional labor they carry. There is also the ache of witnessing truths they cannot share. They often sense when someone is lying to themselves or heading toward heartbreak long before it happens. They might see a friend in a relationship that is quietly crumbling or watch someone sabotage their own happiness. And though they feel the urge to intervene, they know that speaking too soon will only push others away. So they remain silent, holding the weight of foresight in their chest, carrying the tension of knowing what cannot yet be said. What makes it lonelier is that few people ever notice this quiet work. Others may see an INFJ as calm, supportive, or even mysterious, but they rarely understand the emotional endurance it takes to exist in a world that never stops speaking to their soul. INFJs live in a constant state of awareness, and awareness is tiring. It is the exhaustion of noticing every tremor in the emotional landscape while the rest of the world walks lightly across its surface. And yet, despite the fatigue, they cannot imagine living any other way. Their ability to see what others miss allows them to connect to life in a way that feels almost sacred. It is what allows them to create art that resonates, to offer comfort before anyone asks, to love with a devotion that transcends words. But the beauty of this gift is always interwoven with its cost. To see the hidden world is to carry the weight of it, and INFJs do so silently, with grace, even as their heart grows heavy with the truths no one else can see. There's a profound loneliness in the way INFJs see the world because their vision reaches into corners that most people never think to look. They witness the hidden pain in a stranger's eyes on a crowded street and feel it linger in their chest long after the moment has passed. They notice when someone's laughter carries an echo of sadness, or when a room filled with conversation holds a quiet current of tension just beneath the chatter. This deep perception makes the world feel alive with meaning, but it also turns everyday life into a stream of unspoken stories that weigh on their hearts. For an INFJ, nothing is ever just what it appears to be. A smile is never only a smile. It carries a history, an emotion, a silent truth that slips through to their awareness. They read micro-expressions, tone shifts, and the spaces between words as naturally as breathing. And because of this, they often feel as if they're living two lives at once. The life everyone else sees and the invisible one they quietly navigate beneath it. This dual reality is both enlightening and exhausting, like holding a lantern in a world that keeps asking for darkness. The exhaustion comes not only from what they see, but from what they feel. Their intuition doesn't stop at observation. It absorbs. They don't just notice the weary posture of a coworker. They feel the weight of the worry that caused it. They don't just hear the hesitation in a loved one's voice. They feel the tangle of doubt and fear behind it. Carrying the emotions of others, as if they were their own, turns their inner world into a constantly shifting ocean. Even on days when nothing happens, the tides of feeling can leave them drained, as if they've run an emotional marathon that no one else can see. Another layer of fatigue comes from the burden of foresight. INFJs often sense outcomes before they unfold. They can feel when someone is on a path toward heartbreak, or when a friendship is slowly unraveling, long before either party realizes it. This awareness places them in a painful position. They know the storm is coming, but they cannot always intervene without being dismissed or misunderstood. They hold these quiet prophecies alone, their hearts heavy with the weight of, "I saw this coming long before it arrives." And while they carry all this, the world often rewards only what is visible. People might notice their calm presence or admire their wisdom, but few realize the inner labor that goes into maintaining it. Behind that serene exterior is a soul constantly processing, filtering, and translating the emotional language of everyone around them. They long, sometimes desperately, for someone to see them with the same depth they see others, to understand the fatigue that comes not from doing too much, but from feeling too much. Yet even in the exhaustion, there's a quiet, sacred beauty to their perception. To live as an INFJ is to exist in a world of whispers that most people never hear. Every environment speaks to them in ways that defy explanation. A quiet cafe is not just a place to sip coffee. It's a theater of energy, emotion, and silent exchanges. They notice the couple by the window whose hands almost touch, but don't, carrying the weight of a relationship, straining to hold on. They feel the tension from the man, scrolling on his phone, not out of boredom, but to avoid the conversation he isn't ready to have. They sense the exhaustion in the server's posture and the brittle smile that masks a mind elsewhere. Each detail carries its own story, and all of it flows into the INFJ's awareness like water into a deep well. This constant intake of the unseen is why their inner world feels heavier than it appears from the outside. While others navigate life on the surface, INFJs are swimming through currents of unspoken truths. They hold the grief of strangers they've never met, the worry of friends who never voice it, the frustration behind casual words spoken in jest. It's not that they want to carry all this, but their empathy and intuition leave no choice. They absorb the unspoken simply by existing. This is why social interactions, even enjoyable ones, can leave them drained. Every gathering is a quiet avalanche of impressions that they will process long after it ends. This life of silent knowing creates a unique kind of loneliness. They are surrounded by people yet feel apart from them, as though living slightly out of phase with the world. While others laugh freely and move lightly through life, the INFJ carries the echoes of everything unspoken. They long for someone who can see them with the same depth they see others, someone who notices the quiet weariness in their eyes the way they notice it in everyone else. Yet despite the exhaustion, this depth is also their source of profound connection to life. Seeing what others do not allows them to create bonds that feel almost spiritual. They can touch someone's heart without a word, intuit what is needed before it's asked, and offer comfort that feels like home. But this gift comes with the cost of invisibility. The world rarely sees the silent guardian of emotions, the quiet keeper of stories, the person who carries the emotional weight of 10 lives while walking as if weightless. And so the INFJ lives in cycles of immersion and retreat. They step into the world, absorbing and seeing and feeling until the weight becomes too much. Then they withdraw into solitude, not because they are cold, but because solitude is the only place they can finally lay the world down. It is there, in the quiet, that they can breathe again, sort through the threads they've collected, and find themselves beneath the weight of everyone else. There's a kind of ache that builds up from knowing too much without wanting to. An INFJ can sit across from a friend who claims they're fine and instantly feel the tremor of unspoken pain under the surface. They can stand in a family gathering and feel the invisible rifts, the old resentments, and the unhealed wounds that no one mentions out loud. They are witnesses to the things unsaid, and every piece of awareness settles somewhere in their heart. The weight is cumulative. It grows silently, and because they rarely voice what they know, it has nowhere to go. This awareness can make even simple social life exhausting. Most people can attend a party and leave thinking only of the conversations they had. The INFJ leaves carrying a collection of invisible imprints, the nervous energy of the host, the longing glance of someone unacknowledged, the unspoken tension between two people across the room. These are things they never asked to see, yet they experience them as vividly as if someone had whispered them in their ear. Their ability to see and feel so deeply allows them to love in a way that leaves a lasting mark on the people who truly know them. They can offer comfort with a single glance, create art that speaks to the soul, and be a safe harbor for hearts that feel unseen by the rest of the world. But their inner life is a quiet testimony to the cost of that gift. To see what others don't is to live with the world's unspoken truths pressing against your heart, day after day, without rest. There comes a point when the weight of seeing too much presses down so heavily on an INFJ that it becomes almost unbearable. Every day, they collect fragments of unspoken emotions from the world around them, and every fragment settles quietly in their heart. They rarely get the chance to release it, because their role has always been to hold, to understand, to quietly carry what others cannot or will not face. This constant intake without release leads to an invisible exhaustion, one that even sleep cannot always heal. Emotional burnout for an INFJ doesn't arrive like a sudden storm. It seeps in like fog. At first, it is just a subtle heaviness, a sense of being slightly out of sync with the world. Then it becomes harder to respond to messages, harder to be fully present, harder to keep giving when their own well feels empty. They withdraw, not out of anger or rejection, but out of a deep instinct for survival. When the world feels too loud, too crowded, and too emotionally charged, disappearing becomes a form of medicine. This retreat can confuse those around them because it often happens silently. One day the INFJ is listening, supporting, and empathizing, and the next they're gone into their quiet spaces, unreachable. But inside, they are not abandoning anyone. They are simply trying to remember who they are beneath the weight of everyone else's emotions. Their solitude becomes a sacred refuge, where they can finally put down the energy they've absorbed and breathe without carrying the stories of the world on their back. In these moments of isolation, INFJs often confront their own depth. They process the things they've seen and felt, the patterns they've recognized but never spoken aloud. They think about the pain they've absorbed from others, the subtle betrayals they've sensed before anyone else noticed, the silent heartbreaks of strangers that touch them anyway. And as they sit in the quiet, they begin to release some of that weight, like exhaling after holding a deep breath for too long. But the exhaustion lingers because their gift is also their burden. Seeing what others don't means carrying truths no one else acknowledges. It means recognizing the storm behind someone's smile and knowing that, in most cases, they can't fix it, only witness it. That awareness is a kind of beauty that borders on pain, a beauty that leaves them both spiritually rich and emotionally drained. When an INFJ enters any relationship, friendship, romance, or family connection, they are rarely interacting only with the words spoken. They are tuned to the pauses between those words, the tremor in a voice, the flicker of doubt in the eyes. This depth allows them to connect in a way that feels almost magical to others, but it also sets the stage for quiet heartbreak. They notice when a smile doesn't reach the eyes. They sense when love is fading even before the other person realizes it. They can feel when someone is withholding truth, and it cuts deep because their entire being craves honesty and emotional reciprocity. This heightened awareness often leads to a one-sided emotional weight in relationships. The INFJ is giving without asking, understanding without being asked to, and often holding the emotions of two people instead of one. They become the safe space, the confidant, the quiet anchor, and while they love deeply, the imbalance can drain them. Few people realize that the INFJ who seems so strong and composed is quietly longing for someone who will do the same for them, someone who can notice their unspoken struggles without being told. This is where the exhaustion from seeing too much can become isolating in love. They may feel lonely even in relationships because their inner world is rarely fully seen. Partners and friends might appreciate their empathy and wisdom without realizing the emotional cost behind it. And when the INFJ senses that a relationship is shallow, insincere, or built on masks, they feel a silent ache that is hard to describe. To protect themselves, INFJs sometimes retreat, even from the people they love. It's not because they care less. It's because caring so much without rest becomes unbearable. They pull back to their quiet sanctuaries to release the weight of emotional overstimulation, to process what they've absorbed, and to reconnect with their own essence. If they don't, the invisible pressure of always carrying more than their share will eventually hollow them out. Their relationships, like the rest of their life, are a dance between profound connection and profound solitude. They walk this path carrying the beauty and the burden of seeing what others don't, loving as deeply as they do, and surviving the quiet ache of rarely being fully known. If you're an INFJ who needs clarity, alignment, and a deeper connection with your true self, ensure to check out my INFJ ebook. The link is in the description of this video.